You know what's kind of weird? How even when the game is all tapped, like just sort of defaults to the pause menu, it's kind of eerie, just sort of stuck here in with all these vertices. But anyways, welcome back to Sonic Sunday, the segment where I tend to meander a lot. You may be wondering what we're, speaking of which, you may be wondering what we're doing back on Chronos. That's because I wanted to talk to Amy a little bit. I've done everything else on here. Didn't get time, unfortunately, to get around to doing stuff on Ares on it, which, you know, is probably for the best. It's like we cleared everything out here that we needed to, so now it's just a fun segment where it's like things we missed with Amy. I don't think many people know what they're doing with this game. It's like all they do is use the side loop to draw funny shapes. Or specifically one funny shape. Telepathy? Okay, so it's like... You know, it's kind of weird, the fact that they actually have to try to explain the in-game map. It's like, it's not really something you tend to think about as sort of an in-game element. Yet here we are doing it anyways. Also, teehee. I had to do it. It's just... I guess, I get the impression that they really wanted to take this whole, open zone thing and figuring this out, kind of seriously, which... I know that, there was a lot of complaining post-Forces about wanting this game to be more lore-centric, or series to be more lore-centric. I don't think we meant to this extent. Retrofoot... Oh yeah, thank you for reminding me. Thank you for reminding me, because this isn't a retro game. In fact, it was released in a time when CRTs, were... There we go, redundant. That looks a little bit better. Alright, let's talk to the ghost girl. Let's see what she wants. As he just teleports there for a split second. He seems a lot less patronizing here when he did it in the dubs. He's like, I'm Sonic, and you're supposed to answer who you are at the moment. Unfortunately, you won't have much of a choice in the future, Sage. I'm fairly certain the dialogue for that one hasn't been changed. At least I get that impression, because... I know. Hearing Vibe here seems more like either a, just a part of the English dub, or more so just, Crunchyroll subtitles in the, the best case scenario. Up top tower. Up top tower by the looks of it. Also, feels as though there's always a whole bunch of stuff that I missed. That's another thing, really. Because I was playing a little bit more of Ghost Recon Breakpoint a little bit earlier, and it's really just sort of brought to mind the prospect that... I'm fairly certain you've mentioned this in the past, Phil. Just how some game series are better suited to open-world games than others. At least it's not that also there's a little trend... Yeah, that's also true. What have you got to say now? I mean, to be fair, this does seem fairly close in terms of, it's like I get the general impression that the subtitles are at least somewhat correct. I mean, it'll probably showcase once we get to the final island. If you know, you know. Amy's down there next. Let's have a look, see what Amy's up to. I mean, depending on this, if this actually has been retranslated, I may just skip a whole bunch of these in future. Oh, there we go. Yeah, this seems considerably different. Amy, why do you sound completely different all of a sudden? This doesn't sound like you at all. I just figured I'd just do this off. I just figured this would be interesting, you know, showcasing this extra little bits and pieces of dialogue. Hopefully you don't mind. Do you mind? I'm trying to showcase character dialogue here. It's the reason we're here, to see the characters interact. But yeah, with regards to open world design, I can't help but feel that most of the time it tends to be more populated with busy work more than anything. It feels as though they really try to justify there being an open world just by adding a whole bunch of chores, checklist, checklist, which, I'm gonna be honest, whilst I do definitely see the appeal of doing a checklist, it's something that I feel I'd rather do just once, which, in fairness, you've mentioned in the past as well, Val, about how it sort of leads to people not really wishing to replay a game, which is open world and just doing the same checklist over and over again. And me personally, that sort of mentality sort of flies in the face of the Sonic game. You know, you got the previous games all the way up to, I want to say probably colored, basically Generations. You could probably throw, but basically every single Sonic game previous to this, replayability has been a core tenet. So the only real replayability there is here is the cyberspace levels. Yes, and they probably should have stayed that way. Okay. Yeah, there's more of these that I missed up previously than I thought. Don't worry, we'll get to Knuckles eventually. For now, you just have to bear with me waddling around Wales for a little bit. Though, given the weather, it seems more like Scotland. And once again, we got that whole generic naming convention that all these modern games do, where it's either the Ancients, or the Endless, or the Forgotten Ones, probably something like that. As compared to the natural discovery, it feels organic and fun, like Think FF7 Original, where you can miss things, and it simplifies discovering replayability in comparison to Rebirth, which is unfortunately very much a checklist game with everything you can get. You can go on a first playthrough and don't have to worry about missing everything that's such the game. Yeah, exactly. I can definitely imagine myself probably only doing Remake and Rebirth once. We're probably going back to Rebirth a little bit. This Remake, I mean, depending on how that turns out. You know, assuming my PC can handle it. That's another thing that I'm gonna have to check at some point. You got anything interesting to say just sort of up on this weird platform? Yes, they literally just float. I mean, retro sci-fi. Oh, Sonic, if only you knew, this has been a thing since 2001. Still wish I could go back. You know, back to when games were simpler. And not just like a job. I mean, I suppose this one isn't necessarily a job as compared to some others, but the checklisting thing doesn't really help. I feel it's something that I would have been more fine with before I actually had a job. Where it's like, I gotta deal with all this busy work in my day-to-day anyways. I don't need it in my pastime video games either. What I've said, Pot 3 is going to be far less checklist oriented, at least to me. That's good. It shows they're aware of that being a problem. Wish it didn't come to... Well, it's a learning experience at the very least, though. I do gotta wonder... As far as I'm aware, Part 3 is mostly comprised of the events of Discs 2 and 3. Which feels kind of wild, given Part 1 was literally just Midgar. I kind of feel it's mostly just going to... I am worried that they're going to sort of pendulum in the opposite direction, and we're going to get a 13 scenario. We're just walking through a hallway all the way through, you know, Junon... We probably only went to Bone Capital, but just... all the various other places we went through in Discs 2. I mean, I suppose Disc 3 isn't necessarily required, given they don't necessarily have to worry about effing these. I figured I'd have to go back into this particular cyberspace level because it's City Escape, and I figured I'd want to showcase this one at the very least. Sort of kicking myself at the prospect of forgetting to do it the first time around, because I will admit, it may just be the nostalgia talking, but generally I kind of feel the SA2 inspired cyberspace levels are some of the more fun ones. That being said, though, I am generally confused as to the fact that they added in levels from Generations, Unleashed, and Adventure 2. Nothing from Colors or nothing from Adventure 1. I feel that's sort of a missed opportunity if they really were just gonna go back in and, you know, if they were forced to go in and reuse all these level assets. I do gotta wonder the sort of thought process behind these, though. Yeah, yes, this is City Escape. It's basically just start to finish without all the downhill segments. I'm fairly certain you could just do side-by-side comparisons with both these. Anyways, we spent enough time here. We spent enough time on Chronos. Look at that, the rain stopped. It's time to finally go off to oh. Where... I could have sworn I got all of these. See, that's another thing, the memory tokens. Arguably my least favorite mechanic in this whole game. Let me just see. Memory token, memory token. Literally right there. That's the most checklisty thing in this entire game, and I feel were it not for these, obviously we wouldn't necessarily have much of a game to really play, but nice move there. That's for two reasons. SC1 levels are too open and Colors levels are literally exact opposite extremes. Love it. And there we go. That's Chronos Island 100%ed. I can finally escape, even though I have no obligation to do so. There we go. 100%. Let's go on to Ares Island finally. Let's see how Knuckles is doing. I am wondering exactly how I'm going to be spacing these out, because obviously the islands get a lot bigger from here on out. Search for friends. Look, even the UI stuff has a bunch of pop-in. Oh, and of course, instead of like emerald shards or something to that effect, we gotta have medals. Because remember, Knuckles was a war commander at some point, and not a criminal who got all his forces basically atomized by Infinite. Let's put on Dusty Desert. Let's I have to cycle all the way. You know, this is the weird thing, the fact that, oh, there we go. I was gonna say, it's weird the fact that you can only cycle back and forth, but there we go, there is a menu. I kind of forgot about that. There we go, this feels more, at home. This feels more on brand. Well, except for the, more of these crashed UFOs here. I do gotta wonder just how big of a force Robotnik brought to this island. Or these islands, because we got all these UFOs and some other stuff that planning a full invasion, and yet there's absolutely no badniks around it. I mean, I guess they all just got banished into cyberspace as well. Is that the explanation as to why there's badniks in there? It's one of those things where you just realize it and realize that you were the dumb this whole time. I will say, but this feels a lot more fitting. Alright, so we got the easiest challenge in the world. Get ready. Midgar's linear in OG's 7 minutes, it's only about 4 or 5 hours compared to Remix 40. What do they even do to pad out the time? I am genuinely curious. Like, how do you pad out 3 to 4... How do you pad out a segment of a game to 10 times its length? Like, I thought we had it bad with the Peter Jackson Hobbit movies. Wouldn't want to spoil... Ah. Of course. Silly me. We'll say, though, visually, at the very least, I think Ares Island is definitely my favorite. It's just... You got a whole bunch of nice spaces here. It just feels very... It's the most vibrant area in the entire game, because, of course, you got Chaos Island, which is mostly grey. You got Kronos Island, which is wet and miserable. You got Uranus Island, which is Kronos Island again, so... Not much of a competition. It's like, this is the sort of, generic as it is. This is the sort of stuff I would expect from a Sonic game. It's just... This area feels the most Sonic-y to me. It feels the most finished, as well. You know, aside from me just sort of floating on air for a second there. Let's see what's over here. I barely remember this segment. I'm guessing this is, Yeah, I'm guessing this is one of the Coco challenges. Yeah, there he is. Just a black top hat in the middle of the desert. I would hate to be him. Let's say that the birch tree segment of Kronos' wish was more prevalent, seeing how it was in most of the... Yeah, that is kind of weird. It's like they... I mean, obviously a lot of the stuff they had to sort of, scale back, mostly just due to, having to compensate for the Switch. I do kind of wish, though, that, the other ports didn't have to suffer as a result. I mean, I've heard that they're supposedly doing the, a Switch 2 port, which should be a little bit more... have a little bit more fidelity behind it, at least allegedly. I do kind of wish that the other versions of the game, which aren't the Switch port, get similar treatment. And hopefully we don't have to pay for it twice. Yeah, just generally speaking, it may just be me, but I can't help but feel that, Ares Island may just be the highlight of the entire game for me. It's like riding off the high of the first Titan fight, and then you got this whole wide open area. This really feels like the highlights of the entire game. It's like you ride high for most of it, and then you get to Chaos Island, and then it's oh. But that can wait. That can wait. For now, I gotta go find more medals. No idea what happened there. Can I... Yeah, part of me just wishes that aside from a few annoyances with some of the combat moves, I do kind of wish the game played like this normally, as opposed to me just having to do add in a whole bunch of various codes in the mod loader to make it feel this nice. At least relatively speaking. You know, that's still one thing that I still genuinely don't get. The seeming obsession with needing to add an insane amount of hit stop to the homing attack is... I remember back with, I feel Heroes is probably the best example of this, how I suppose more free-flowing it was, where, like, depending on how long you held the jump button after you'd done your homing attack, you went higher in the air. Just, I feel that, little details like that, just kind of, lost with how this is. It just feels a lot less nice. It feels a lot less, free-flowing, which I thought was supposed to be the whole point. I always feel it's to compensate for players mashing the daylights out of an accidentally. Yeah, I kind of get it, because I will just say one thing, which I have in more recent... Oh, I need a gear. I need a gear. I need a cog. Yeah, one thing which has definitely come to mind for me at the very least is, I've noticed that with, Nuke... I think the best example of this actually is when Ben Schwartz tried to play Adventure 2. Instead of doing the spin attack, he would just spam the jump dash, which, naturally, when it comes to that one segment of City Escape, you really don't want to have to do. So I can't help but wonder whether or not just getting rid of the jump dash would be more beneficial. Oh no, hey, it's the propeller. You remember these from Skyrail, right? Well, they're back for some reason. They're just here now. I mean, I guess it is sort of a desert area like Skyrail. So I will admit, one thing which I generally feel is quite annoying with regards to the Sonic series is that there's no game which I'd consider anything close to perfect. It's just every single game in the series, aside from maybe Sonic 3? Aside from maybe Sonic... Nah. So it's like, it just feels as though every single game in the series just has a notable flaw. Kind of fond of the jump dash? I mean, I get it, but part of me kind of feels it sort of disincentivizes using stuff like the spin dash. That's just my view on it, though. Ah. Didn't realize we had a, auto mod in here like that. Thanks for setting that up. Anyways. In terms of flaws with the rest of the series, obviously we have Sonic 1 with its spike glitch. We got Sonic 2 with, Metropolis with some of its enemy placements. We got Sonic 3, which is close to the best game, except that it's basically splits in half. And you got Adventure, which obviously has stuff like Big, and, I'm gonna be honest, it may just be me, but I've become less and less of a fan of the whole, adventure field mechanic, or sort of overworld from Adventure onwards. Oh no, it's the Half-Life Strider. Drags a bit. That's an interesting way of putting it, because honestly, in terms of the, all the levels in Sonic 3, I don't necessarily have a problem with a lot of them. Even Sandopolis, for that matter, which is, I'm sure, surprising. Adventure 2, obviously, you got stuff like, Wait, were you not hitting the rail I was on? Weird. Just need to remember all my button prompts. And look at this! Look how big this thing is, and you hardly interact with any of it. Nice. That's the same amount of zone as Sonic 2, just because the stages are far longer, I feel the game kind of drags once you get to the half point. That is an interesting way of putting it. I can kind of see that, admittedly. I can kind of see someone feeling Sonic 3 drags on a little bit of it. Mania, obviously, it's the lack of original levels. For Adventure, it's well, basically with most of the 3D games, it's the automation. Let's see, with Adventure 2, obviously you got the worst treasure hunting stages, you got arguably a little bit of annoyance with the controls in that everything is mapped to one button. You know, you got the bounce attack, the light dash, the spin dash, the somersault, all of it just on the B button, so have fun with that. As I'm fairly certain everybody else in their rant has basically pointed out at this point. There we go, got the S rank. I'm not sure how many of those I'm actually going to do, though. Yeah, Heroes, obviously, I feel a lot of the levels tend to be a little too long, and I'm just gonna say it. I'm just gonna come out and say it. I'm the sort of folk who isn't necessarily all that fond of combat in this series. I mean, I do get it. People want this series to be a battle shonen for whatever reason, but with how the games have been set up historically in the past, just feel that adding combat just slows a whole bunch of just slows the game down unnecessarily. Just sort of bogs everything down so you're not doing the fun stuff which you actually want to be doing. Because you just sort of bogged down with combat. It's like wanting pizza and then just getting burgers. I think it's another way of it's been put. Anyways, let's have a look, see what this place is. I'm sure Knuckles is fine to wait. Oh, quickly, quickly! It's that song. Get out of here. Oh yeah, speaking of Unleashed, I'm fairly certain this is one of the extra levels from Unleashed. I'm gonna be honest, these levels based on areas from Unleashed, or Unleashed sort of DLC or extra levels, these are some of my least favorites. Because I feel a lot of the obstacle placement is kind of just annoying, to say the least. Also really gotta be careful here, because I feel as though at any moment I could accidentally just trigger drop dash and die instantly. And we wouldn't want that, would we? I mean, you might. You might. I remember you being a sort of trick. Nice camera there. Nice camera angle that. Alright, let's go again. Well, see, I'm fairly certain there are mods to sort of add in a more sort of smooth bounce attack. Honestly, I don't really like how it functions here. Because it's just sort of that extra little bit of stoppage it has to it, which I'm just sort of... nice. It just sort of holds you in place, and it's just another thing which holds your flow, rather. I mean, I guess it's nice to sort of reorient yourself, but I still kind of prefer how nice SA2's bounce attack is. Also, as far as I'm aware, you can't do the parry in here, meaning that you can't basically say no you to any damage you take, which feels kind of nuts to me, in all honesty, now that I think about it. Just the fact that you can effectively, with basically holding two buttons, basically say, nah, I don't fancy taking damage right now, thanks. One of those things where I get that they wanted to shake up the formula, but I can't help but feel that they were sort of shaking it up for the sake of shaking it up. It's like everybody wants the series to have combat for some reason, so let's just add in combat. Will it work? I mean, people seem to like it. I mean, I will say at the very least, I do definitely think Shadgen did it a little bit better, where it's more just sort of put in as a style thing, where you don't have to use it, but when you do use it, it's more so for spectacle with the Doom Blast. I feel that's a that's probably a better way to go about it, just having it be more of a spectacle thing, but at the same time, if anybody's familiar enough with stuff like Shadgens and even Forces, part of me just kind of feels that all this sort of spectacle does also bog down the game a little bit, because especially when you're going through and replaying the levels again, it's just, you have to sit through the same cutscene again, where it's cool the first time, but when you go for it the second time, it's like, okay, I get it. Can I just get back to the game yet? Can I just get back to the game already? I feel it's definitely the most egregious in Shadgens, though it's obviously a thing in Forces as well. Just, well, we already got access to our first emerald. Let's go and get that first before picking up Knuckles, because I feel like it. Well, admit, just using the drop dash here, can't help but feel a wee bit nervous. It's gonna just betray me out of the blue and just cause me to shoot into the abyss. Alright, and we got these mooks, which now just have a shield up, so it's like, oh, you want to actually damage it, you have to use your Psy-Loop first, which, I get it's mostly just a teaching tool, but it just makes actually fighting these guys more annoying. It was like, I get what the intention was, but at the same time, I think most people would rather, after the first few fights, just move on. And just ignore all these. The 16 problem, huh? Admittedly, I haven't actually heard all that much about 16, so I'll have to just, I'm relying on your word here. It's gonna be so weird hearing this music at nighttime. I guess at the very least they put in a fairly decent amount of various music to incorporate a whole bunch of themes. That's it, give me the emerald. Okay, let's go pick up Knuckles. I think we're capable to do some of the big spectacle fights and set pieces, cool. Yeah, exactly. I think 15 is also like that, as far as I'm aware. Oh, nice, just having a whole bunch of medals put on hand in case you need them. Alright, let's go pick up Knuckles. Oh yeah, that he's just sitting there just like, yep, I'm here now, I guess. Just gonna still stand here and, flex my knuckles. He's just so bored in there. And, still don't get what this whole thing is about. Like, what is on your mind, Sonic? What are you thinking right now? What do you mean by this? Aside from getting more lumbago. Look at that, he's even getting tuckered out. He even grins back. Oh yes, archaeological research. Oh yes, the Master Emerald is not important anymore. Again, the animations just don't line up at all. What kind of reaction is that, Sonic? Anyways, yes, we get the C-clone kick. And, oh. Immediately just into cutscene. Probably shouldn't have... These cutscenes really don't fit the shape. Yeah, exactly. That's... It's like you can sort of tell this was made with the English script in mind, even though I don't really like the English script. Nice camera angle. Okay, later. Yeah, I will admit this segment at the very... I do appreciate these segments at the very least. Just sort of... great to instrumentalizing the threat of the Titans. I mean, whilst it is definitely a set piece, I feel this sort of stuff is generally where a lot of these areas shine. It's like, we're doing all these cool set pieces right now, and it's just... When it's more linear like this, it just can't help but feel it's more fun. You know, because it just feels as though there's stuff going on. Also, yeah, quick step still feels quite stiff. Nice of them. How kind of the missiles to just sort of stop in midair and then drop. Oh, come on, Sonic. Snake would have jumped on all of those. Later, I guess. Even when you sleep. Notice all the game franchises to do set piece. Sonic is the one where you can do this sort of thing all the time and not get sick of it. I argue what's... Yeah, exactly. It's just, I feel it's another thing is that the series tends to do it a lot, which, also helps matters. Yeah, it says 50, and there we go, with a whopping 1,200. Because I will be honest, when it comes to Frontiers, I think stuff like the set pieces is what this game is going to be remembered for the most. Oh, look at this, now we got all the sad music, even though... Let's put it on something a little bit more, let's see, Emerald Coast, Wonderwall, Mirage... There we go. That's a little bit more lively. That's a little bit more on brand. It's like, I can kind of understand now why the soundtrack to this lost to Genshin Impact. I feel like I've already mentioned that before, though. I suppose that's something that I've been sort of hoping for this series, among various things, is the prospect of set pieces actually being able to be integrated more into gameplay. But at the same time, I can't help but wonder as to how one might go through that without basically automating the game to high hell and back like we got with this and with Forces. Let's see, what does Knuckles have to say about all of this? Yeah, this isn't plot Knuckles, he's just sort of, teleporting all around the map by the looks of it. Anyways, what do you have to say about this whole thing, Knuckles? Again, super weird that they tried to explain these game mechanics in lore. It's like, how do you explain springs? I mean, then again, I suppose this game does have a reason for why there's springs here. I mean, I guess with this music we are technically at a sort of seaside. I mean, I see the sea at the very least. There's a lot of it. You know, that's kind of weird, actually, now that I think about it. This game doesn't tend to have that many beaches. Like, actual proper beaches. You know, it's all just sort of cliffs leading out into the stark ocean. I'm also kind of wondering as to how much I necessarily want to do, because, yeah, I did 100% Chronos, but at the same time, I'm not certain as to how much you'd actually want me to see, or even if I'm gonna keep the save file once I'm done with it. I mean, I already got a completed save file. I don't need to do this again. Again, it's sort of one of those things where I kind of regret not being able to keep a hold of a level 1 playthrough, because that would have probably made this a fair bit more interesting, because level 1 with Spin Dash. You know, we might actually get some interesting Titan fights that way, as opposed to just me nuking them instantly. I suppose that's another thing now that I think about it. Just, generally speaking, not too big of a fan of them trying to integrate RPG systems into the series too. It's just, at this point, just please just give us a JRPG instead. That's all I'm asking. It's like, if you really want to add RPG elements to this game, just actually, you know, get Squeenix or somebody to actually make one. I always don't already mention it, but I mean, I'd definitely be in favor of a Sonic game which is just a Bravely Default reskin. I'm fairly certain most people would be absolutely fine with that as well, and would probably play a fair bit better than Chronicles, which is probably the main selling point, really. I will say though, doing these action challenges, it does at the very least make an easier job for me to actually get all of the various medals, which just so happen to be in my path. I mean, still probably not going to get it this time around, though, but I don't think people are going to be too mad if I just decide not to 100% this. Because that's something I know that certain people in the audience have been ragging on me about, for the constantly feeling the incentive to, that'd be yeah, that'd be fine. Also, yeah, don't want to stay away from those guys. They mug you for your emeralds, and that certainly won't do. I mean, to be fair, we all saw what happened with Final Fantasy VII. It was like a buffet. I couldn't stop. All right, and I think this feels like the issue I had with platforming in 06 on steroids, where it's like you felt a lot of time where you really had the urge to reposition yourself, so you actually were able to land on platforms. But here it's, as opposed to just being on a set speed, here you're just going at 1,000,000 miles an hour. It's probably my fault, but still something to take note of. Also, just something else which has come to mind. Because I heard, allegedly, that Kronos Island was being added to Sonic Simulator, the one Sonic game I refused to play out of principle because it's Roblox. Though obviously not for the reason that everybody else is now refusing to play Roblox on principle. I don't know, just I never really sort of vibed with Roblox, in all honesty. It just felt to me like just somebody had tried to make a Minecraft clone in Unity in about 5 minutes. I mean, granted, it's basically turned into its entire different sort of quadrant for containing its own very own set of games by this point, but at the same time, it just sort of felt like I wouldn't enjoy it. Just constantly hearing screaming 12-year-olds on the end of the mic. Didn't seem like the sort of game that particularly interested me. And despite that, Sonic Speed Simulator somehow plays better than, this, in which it actually has momentum, which, I mean, you'd hope that Speed Simulator would be a good inspiration for them to draw on for the next game. I'm not sure if it's going to be. And that it actually, it's like, hey, we have this game which is all about momentum. It's like, can we actually have that in the mainline games, please? You know, I really want to finally have a game which is like Adventure 2, except actually playing like the classic games as well. But I don't know, just... It may just have been my thoughts playing this game initially, but I really do get the feeling that that's never gonna happen. Okay. That's the wrong way to do it. I don't think there's a time limit to this at the very least. There we go. I am no longer the guy from the ad. I suppose there's another thing as well, in all honesty. Just a lot of these puzzles, a lot of these puzzles tend to be a little bit copy-paste. I mean, I feel the tile puzzle here is sort of the biggest offender, and that you see it basically all throughout the games and, well, the game. And I'm gonna be honest, it gets to the point where it's like, yeah, we've seen this like 7 times already. What else can I necessarily say about it? It's another one of these things about how this game is set up. A lot of this just feels repetitive, and not in a good way. But yeah, you're doing all the stuff, but it's like... Oh yeah, and we also have annoying enemies. I think Shark might be one of my least favorite enemies in the game, in all honesty. Just how annoying it can be. It's probably not the worst. I'd say Fortress is also a good example of a particularly annoying enemy to deal with, mostly just because you have to go into an entirely different zip code to get away from him if you want to do anything. Yeah, it just feels going around and doing this sort of all these various quests for memory tokens and whatnot. Just, again, feels more like busy work. I kind of feel kind of bad about this whole thing, honestly, because it's like I've been getting into a little bit more of a Sonic-y mood recently, but it's more so for, you know, the games that I grew up enjoying, you know, your adventure games, your Sonic 3, your Heroes and your Shadow. I feel as though my enjoyment of the series can best be put down to a particular strip of it, mostly just being on the GameCube. I mean, I guess maybe you can also fit in Generations and Colors in there as well, because generally speaking, Colors, I feel, is at the very least inoffensive. You know, it's basically, level-wise, a lot of the stuff that I am kind of looking for, aside from the fact that it's advertising itself as a 3D game when it's not. Anyways, let's go talk to Knuckles. We've lingered enough, we've spent enough time fooling around here. Yeah, let me just go to space. I will say, though, at the very least, the spin dash has definitely made traversal a lot more fun. Like, being able to just zoom around and launch yourself in the air is just... I'm fairly certain this is what a lot of people have been wanting. Like, I too remember the days where I was able to just launch myself into the air back in Sonic Adventure. Or, I guess, Adventure 2. Though not as much to an extent. Alright, let's go see what Knuckles is up to. Literally just standing here waiting for me. It's like... Oh, huh. Gee, Lois, this reminds me of that time I had curry and shamar. Sonic, you're on the bog for like 3 days. Again, really just, I'm guessing that also wasn't translated at the same time. Really feels like something you'd hear in a Family Guy gag. Kinda surprised you didn't do that from the off. That's what I'm wondering about most people in this fandom, to be honest. It would have been hilarious if it just went straight through him because he's a hologram. It's like, I may not have any material form to me, but I'm still gonna block your shots anyway. Oh. Oh, Sonic's still dead anyway. That would be... Yeah, exactly. Just... Sonic Frontier's Secret Theater. Alright, see you later, I guess. Except she actually doesn't. And there we go, we get to go into the funny minigame now. Also, just one quick thing that I kind of forgot to do, if I can just bring it up here real quick. Just give me a second, this won't take long. It's another thing where I feel as though I probably should have set this whole thing up in advance. You're probably gonna have to see a little bit of behind-the-scenes stuff from me. Okay, here we go. Here we go. It should be set up in a decent manner at the very least. So let me just window capture. That back a bit, back a bit, back a bit. Not that far. There we go. Let me just bring the chat box up a little bit more. There we go. That looks a little bit better. A little bit better. There we go. There we go. Now we're talking. Now we're cooking. Put on the there we go. Put on the subtitles. Because, yeah, for some reason this wasn't included in the game. The Island of Miracles, where Knuckles still hasn't moved the Master Emerald down to Hidden Palace, for some reason. I mean, I guess that he prefers the view out here, but at the same time, you know, Hidden Palace is under a volcano. I mean, I know it's basically here because it was here in Sonic Adventure, but still, this never made sense to me. Oh no, he's having doubts. Oh, he's talking in circles again. This was, yeah, it was real good. Actually, one of the better things about this whole thing. Still kind of wish that we got more, animations like this in this series. I mean, feels as though we really only do so when it's just to promote a game. Whether it's Dark Beginnings or that one animation. Also, yeah, Tikal's just here for some reason. And this implies that Chaos is still around? I just find this confused. Also, yeah, just Sky Sanctuary is just there. It's just... just like in Frontier, Sky Sanctuary is just a whole bunch of floating stuff in the sky. Like, literally... just literally floating on nothing. Oh yes, all the Chow here to promote the Chow hunts in Sonic X Shadow Generations. I do find it funny though, they just do all this stuff to promote the Chow, and yet we still haven't gotten like a proper Chow card. You know what I'd love for? I mean, personally, this for major events as opposed to CG. Yeah, I'd love that as well. I feel a lot of people would see that as being pretty awesome. I mean, I would. And I'm fairly certain they don't necessarily have the budget for it. You know, they don't have the budget to be spending like 20 million on a Super Bowl ad. Oh no, he's got a concussion. He's gonna die now in like 5 seconds. Oh, don't worry, he's saved now. So yeah, apparently there was just a portal to, the cyberspace here on Angel Line this whole time. No explanation for it. It's just here. But obviously looking like much like the infrastructure around where I live. Oh no, now he has to go in throughout the whole of Tron. So, I guess he just... And then he just ends up back on Ares Island without having to go for any cyberspace stages. That's still kind of weird for me. Then to excuse his Knuckles mostly had to stay around the Emerald Altar, but yeah, but Sonic free? I suppose, never mind. Oh yeah, we were just having a look at this particular animation since we're at this point in the game already. Oh hey. A character that might actually be decent at combat. Observe how none of them go and do the annoying shell move. And just get one shot by him anyways. I mean, I guess it makes sense. He is supposed to be as strong as Sonic is fast. And though I can't help but note the designs really do seem quite reminiscent of Infinite. Okay, that was pretty funny. It's so funny, the lip sync here is actually more suited to the Japanese. Also, Asura isn't supposed to be on Ares Island. Your Jordans are fake. I need a Sonic... Yeah, I'd love one as well. But I don't see a world where we actually do get one. And there we go. Now he's just trapped in here. It is kind of weird, though. Haha, you see, it's ironic. And there we go. That's that. All right, let's get back to the game. Let's get back to the game. I do kind of find it a little funky though, in that Knuckles was able to just get onto Ares Island with no issues, and it's only when Sage grabbed him he ended up in the cyber cage. Would that potentially mean that that Knuckles is also a key like Sonic is? It's like it's trying to set up so Sonic's like the super special boy as always, but as far as I'm aware, Knuckles could have potentially done this by himself as well. There's nothing saying that he couldn't, aside from the fact that Sage just locked him up. Anyways, let's go do the funny puzzle. Why do we need to get rid of the water, though? Hehehe, very funny. I don't know, this feels like a fairly convoluted way of just pulling the plug out of a bathtub, just shooting a thing. Yeah, I've gotta go drain the water, gotta go drain it. You would think, considering being the gardener and the master on this lineage, the chaos people who are being a big thing. You would think, wouldn't you? I think I have to silently be the thing, is that it? Yes, it is. Now I have to just carry this massive warhead. Using my psychic powers. I guess Silver wasn't that special after all. Yes, yes, I'm hurrying. Just gotta go and, bing. Close enough. Silver downscale yet again. That boy could never catch a break. So yeah, we pull the plug out and, I don't remember what this is supposed to even accomplish. This feels more like filler. Also, look at those water effects. Looks like something straight out of Halo 3. Yes, I unclogged the leg. Millions will now dehydrate. Sonic, you've doomed into... Have we, though? Have we really? Yeah, I'm gonna dehydrate and die, Knuckles. What are you gonna do then? Okay, need to get more keys, need to get more things, need to... Again, just more busy work. Because at least with something like Mario 64, a lot of the levels more just sort of self-contained. Also, yeah, there's literally nothing here. It really does feel like unclogging the lake was kind of pointless. Okay, let's see where we can go to get more, things. This one, I mean, obviously, basically, just me just running around the map not really doing anything is probably not going to help, so... Fairly certain there should be a... Yeah, there's a thing up here. I remember now. Maybe it's just me, who has actually gone out of their way to get every single memory token before, but... Just gonna be honest, don't really feel much of an impetus to, you know, I probably should be saying this more so at the end. I don't really see myself coming back to this game all that often. Yes, all that just to spawn a single spring. Alright, in we go. In we go. And I gotta go and find another thing to block. I'm probably gonna have to go and fight that shark now, aren't I? Terrific. Also, fairly certain there's another enemy around here. Maybe it's, somewhere else. Let's go find that shark. It's like, you wanted to fight me so bad, now here I am. I could have sworn you were around here somewhere. There he is. Shark is such a bad enemy, it caused me to come out of my spin dash. How could he? Yep, and we got more QuickTime events, because we all used to love those back in the day. I pressed down, game. I pressed down. Alright, here we go again with Wyvern just up there. Just like, what is he even doing up there, I gotta wonder. Does he have anything better to do? Is he, like, trying to hunt me? Because doesn't seem to be the case from where I'm standing. Okay, I think you gotta hold it. There we go. Again, a lot of these enemies feel like just something that'd be cool to fight just once. Like, sure, doing this whole set piece once with a single shark is fine, but then you gotta do it, like, multiple times. Let's just stage is just chilling out here in the middle of the desert. What have you got to say? Again, the use of smite here just feels so... I don't want to say millennial. It definitely feels like something Flynn would write. Heck, it sounds like something I would write. And I'm a terrible writer. Disclaimer, I'm not a terrible writer. I just can't write. I'm not a terrible writer, I'm just not a writer. It just feels as though there's only so much you can say when it comes to a lot of these, various obstacle courses. Like, oh hey, it's just doing the same thing over and over again. You know what? Just thinking in terms of, I do have to apologize, a little bit hotter in here than usual tonight. I think I may just have to switch on the fan in a little bit, because I think it may just be from me playing a little bit more Ghost Recon earlier this evening, and you know what's kind of weird? Just playing that game again just felt like it unlocked a fair few just sort of core memories, mostly just it's one of those things where it's like, you know what? I wouldn't actually mind going out and, like, joining the army or something. Just, it has that sort of, aesthetic to it, which sort of weirdly nostalgic to me. Just, you know, army recruitment videos, time in the Cub Scouts, time doing Duke of Veteran, that sort of thing. It's just one of those things which was generally a highlight from when I was at school, and just can't help but think, those were the days. This game was a fever... Well, I suppose the translation of the dub isn't necessarily helping that. Anyways, let's go in here and get some more keys. Oh no, Planet Wisp is starting up. We gotta go. I will say, though, I feel as though, at the very least... Oh, and all of a sudden we're here on Radical Highway. Nice. I forgot about this one. Well, mostly it's Radical Highway, but it starts, like, halfway through. Like here, we're already at the suspension bridge segment. Like, here's where the gold beetle is. Yeah, it's very odd play. This felt very odd play. Yeah, I think that's a good, decent way of putting... Also, nice. I don't know, just stuff like that whole Duke of Edinburgh thing, like, you know, going out and doing camping, eating rations, like, actual MREs, climbing Snowdon. It's one of those things where I don't tend to look back on those sort of school days all that often, or at least try to avoid to, but thinking back to that, it's like, can't help but think, you know what, maybe it wasn't so bad. It's like, for comparison's sake, my, what I always considered to be the highlight of my, of those particular school days was going to see Revenge of the Fallen before going in a several-hour trip in a minibus all through the night to go to Dover. That's what we're dealing with. Like, literally being stuck in a minibus after watching Revenge of the Fallen. That's the bar. There we go, now we got our Strawberry Jolly Rancher. I will say... Leave me alone, please. I will say at the very least, hopefully this time around, me playing it, because obviously I basically completed all of Chaos Island and then went on to complete the whole game basically in one whole sitting. I'm hoping that this time around it's going to be more a case of me being better paced, but I am sort of wondering as to whether I'll end up struggling to think of commentary as a result. It's like there's only so much you... I feel that's another thing as well. I can't help but feel that these sort of games don't lend themselves all that well to commentary, because it feels as though there's just a lot of dead air as you're just basically traveling from one point to another. Is this one thing where I can't help but think, note to self, probably lay off the open world games in future. At the very least, a fair bit of the geometry here is pretty cool. Like this whole, all of these weird floating ring things. No idea what they're supposed to do, but they're cool looking. Which I suppose is kind of the point. Yeah, it just generally feels like a lot of the puzzle is just sort of copy-pasted. You can really sort of tell a lot of this was more sort of a, proof of concept first, and then a game second. Trying to remember where exactly to go to get up there. Okay, there's fans at the very least, so I could probably just make my way up there. Because I will just say, when it comes to these extra rare Cocos, I feel as though they do definitely improve once you get off of Kronos Island. I remember these being... a lot of these being fairly good. Like this one, look at this. We gotta avoid all the Laziers in a more engaging set piece compared to the one in Forces. Somehow I survived that without taking any damage. Again, the parry in this... it's one of those things where I don't think it was necessarily designed with the platforming in mind. That's the impression I'm getting. Gotcha. Alright, now I remember. I think I gotta go... this way? There it is. And now we just gotta go and get the rest of them. Gotta find Knuckles. Well, it's not necessarily fighting, it's more just sort of talking to him, I suppose. Not right now, I'm busy. Gotta go talk to... Do you mind? I mean, I do say that Ares Island is my favorite area in the game, but that does come with some caveats. It's like the bar has to be set a little bit lower here. What do you think Knuckles has nightmares of? I'm guessing it's not just ghosts. Because of course Knuckles isn't afraid of ghosts. Oh, we got it to call mention. We got it to call mention because, of course, we gotta shoehorn in that because that's all Flynn knows. Is there anything else over here? Oh, so let me just get this Sonic Lost World music out of here. Yeah, that's a little bit better. That's more like it. All right, where is Knuckles now? Back by the lake, nice. The lake that we drained for basically no reason. Again, we basically didn't need to do any of that in order to get the Chaos Emerald, so what was the point? Shark, can you not? I'm gonna have to beat him up now, aren't I? Fine, we'll do this your way. Nice camera angle. Yeah, Shark is generally one of those enemies which are generally just fine, one of the more annoying ones in the game. It's like, I get what they were going for, but... especially when it comes to just, wanting to proceed, it just gets in the way a lot of it. I feel as though a lot of this is just, needlessly obtrusive. I feel that's a good way of putting this game. It feels obtrusive. Because again, I think I would rather just be zooming through a selection of stages a la Heroes or Adventure 2. Like, even Shadow, for that matter. It's like, yeah, it had a whole bunch of terrible missions in it, but it also had just a whole bunch of fun linear stages, like, you know, Sky Troops, and especially Lava Shelter, Final Haunts, Gun Fortress. Just... there are quite a few levels in Shadow the Hedgehog that I do quite like in retrospect. Special Forces? Yes, we gotta it. You see, Sonic, I have to do this because for some reason Forces they made me a commander, and I kind of have to live up to that now. Really feels as though they really want to at least try and justify the whole him being the commander thing in Forces, even though everybody was saying it doesn't make any sense. Also, what do you mean I can't use the spin dash here? What a ripoff. Well, at the very least, there's no time limit here, so I can just take my time with it and try not to die. Thinking, yeah, that'll do. It may just be me, but I can't help but feel as though I'd be having more fun with one of the older games. Also, I can't even boost here. It's just one of those things where I can't help but feel as though I'm kind of getting a little bit old. Just getting the sense that this series isn't really meant for me anymore. It is a discouraging thought, but at the same time, it's like I've waited 20 years for my ideal game to come along, and I don't think that's going to be happening still anytime soon. Whatever, I got a new... I got that damn third Chaos Emerald. I do gotta wonder, though, with these special forces... What if there's like an Ancients version of Solid Snake in here? What if we get a Coco here with the funny bandana on? Because we gotta pad out the game, Sage. We didn't take into account the fact that there'd be a whole lot of nothing if we just had Sonic running around an open world, so we kinda had to improvise. There we go. I mean, saying that, maybe it's just a me thing. I have admittedly not been feeling my you can probably hear it in the voice, not feeling my best this time around, so I hate to imagine how this is gonna look on the VoD. It's like gonna be the most uninteresting thing imaginable. Memory tokens. Again, just at this point really feels like the most overt form of filler. Just like, oh yes, you gotta run around and collect these trinkets in order to progress the story. Or really do anything. I can't help but imagine... Excuse me, I can't really help but imagine what this might have looked like, you know, before they made all the changes with all the platforms and such. Back when it was mostly just a lot of the empty map. It's like, what was the plot that... What was the original... Well, I suppose that wasn't really the original vision, but you know what I mean. Like, what was the original plan before they added in all the stuff to make it to have all the extra pop-in? Also reminds me, not sure how much fishing I'm also going to do in this, just... Again, I already have like a completed save file, so I basically have nothing to prove here. There we go, we got enough. Don't mind me, just casually zooming my way over here. I'm sure it's fine. Alright, I'm guessing this is where we get the flashback, isn't it? And then... Ah, we got enough for that, that damn fourth Chaos Emerald. Nice. Guessing it's on the way, then. Alright, Knuckles, I got the prerequisite amount of trinkets. Vision already, huh? Feels as though these things are coming up a lot more frequently and, earlier. I can't believe it, Knuckles is real. I do gotta wonder, though. It's like the Ancients don't have any armor, they don't have any weapons. It's like, yeah, they have all these defenses here, like walls and such, but... Knuckles real, not fake. It's like, for troops, they don't necessarily seem very much like a proper military. Yes, they might actually keep out Rouge for once. You know, maybe we should have worked on adding a roof to it as well. You know, considering their enemy comes from space. Like, this massive wall just feels kind of silly in hindsight. It's like you're dealing with a massive thing from space. And Wyvern's just sort of casually just up there in the sky. Again. We aren't gonna get any explanation for that symbol. Oh no, guys, we built our wall on the wrong side. Oh no, and they're all dead. No. Oh, so that's why he was laughing. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to generate a soul using ChatGPT. Really feels as though they're trying to go a different route here with Sage, where it's like she's trying to effectively go the more sentience route, where it's like I'm having all these questions about whether I should have a soul or not. Like whether a machine programmed like me should have sentience. And Eggman's is like, nah, don't be ridiculous, Sage. Which is funny because it feels as though he tends to end up doing that a lot with his robots, doesn't he? He's like, Gamma immediately comes to mind. Surprised I didn't mention Gamma at any point in this game. It feels as though that would have been low-hanging fruit for Flynn. Hey, Knuckles. Honestly, it always comes across as though Eggman accidentally made her basically human. Yeah, I kind of get that impression as well. And going by the audio logs, I'm still surprised that we're getting Allbot and Qbot still. I would have figured that, you know, they were just there so Robotnik had another character to bounce off of during scenes. And, well, we have Sage now, meaning we don't necessarily need Allbot and Qbot. Time to get some more keys, I guess. Oh yeah, I think this is a chemical plant modern with the just with 2D sections. From what I recall, I'm probably not going to get all the what was that? You saw that, right? That just felt mighty strange to me, just seeing him careen off. I get the sense that the spin dash wasn't tested that much for these levels. It definitely means you're able to break a lot of the power times a lot more easier since you have it. Didn't mean to do that, but I guess we're here now. Nice, already got all the red rings. Again, when it comes to a lot of these later cyberspace levels, a lot of these just feel like you're getting free keys most of the time. Also, look at that. Look at that. If I wasn't just fumbling around the spin dash, I would have got it. Music here mainly sort of reminds me of Huge Crisis from Sonic Rush. That's probably a good idea, actually, because here I've been thinking, you know, I kind of miss actually playing good Sonic games. I feel as though I need something to sort of take the edge off, and it's just like, you know, it's been a long time. You know, it's been a long time since I played Rush. I was gonna do Rush Adventure at some point. Obviously, I'm probably gonna have to set that up now. It's gonna be interesting to seeing how that is set up with this new layout. Am I still gonna keep the screen? Am I still just gonna go the... I'm still probably gonna keep the DS overlay. Because I quite like that for the Mystery Dungeon streams. You know, just add a little bit more charm to it. Just, you know, just add the CRT filter on there, and then it's really like you're watching a commercial. A very strange commercial. See about making a custom overlay for DS? That would be appreciated, but at the same time, I feel I'd start asking a little bit too much of you in that case, because then I'd have to ask about 3DS overlays, and then that'd be a whole different can of worms. Because obviously 3DS is a little bit different to DS, where one screen is larger than the other. Again, it's like you already have too much and you play it as is. I don't want to add any more unnecessarily. So that's an interesting note. Cactuses... My immersion is broken. You just know, if this was something like Sonic Adventure, these cacti would actually deal damage to you. You know that would just be how it was. And yet here, no. Cacti just, do nothing to Sonic, I guess. Anyways, back through the gate. Assuming I can actually make it up there. Well, hopefully you've been having a good weekend at the very least. It's just been another, slightly uneventful one. Just me getting annoyed at DaVinci Resolve a whole lot, because trying to add subtitles word for word is kind of a pain. I can at the very least get why you would resort to something like CapCut, though. Yes, yep, it is, so... I guess this is something I'm gonna have to look into a little bit more, as to whether I actually can just somehow find the means of automating captions on shorts, or just other edited stuff in general, because I feel at the very least I am starting to get a little bit more of a hang of it now. You know, it's just a one big learning process. Did I not take damage from that at all? Or is it just me actually, the reaction to receiving damage is basically just negligible. Anyways, die again. That was the most unceremonious thing I've ever seen in this game so far. And there's a lot of unceremonious things. CapCut auto-generates subtitles, you can easily edit anything. If anything, you just edit the video in DaVinci and then bring it over to another software to capture it. That is a good point. That is a good point. Something to look into. Well, then again, it's a matter of whether I'll actually be able to use my, my particular font of choice, because I do definitely have a particular font in mind. Fantastic. I'm gonna have to beat up some more sharks, aren't I? Again, I did say this was my favorite area in this game. I think this is another one of the Coco challenges. I remember this one being pretty neat, pretty precarious. Just constantly having to go around with all these grind rail rings. Just a lot of this stuff. If this was just more sort of a straightforward actual level, I'd be pretty chuffed with this. So it brings me. Oh. Okay. Sort of brings to mind hard mode levels in Adventure 2. Let's try that again, shall we? I know where I went wrong. You're supposed to defeat the enemy. I was not strong enough, Master. Forgive me. Let's try this again. Yeah, at the very least, these particular enemies are pretty cool. In terms of enabling level design, even if it is basically just a sort of expanded version of Bubbles from Sonic 4. Just being there as homing attack fodder. That's another thing. That's just another thing about this particular series. I feel as though I've hopped on it constantly. The constant over-reliance on the homing attack in order to have any sort of level design. Is this not one of those things where I can't help but wonder what the Sonic game would look like without the homing attack? You know, just sort of a means of challenging oneself, you know? I can't help but feel that a fair few of the talk. I feel as though a lot of the talking points I have for this series are about as recycled as Green Hill Zone is. I feel as though I've gone over a lot of what I have already had to say in the past. I mean, it's fairly certain I got into a little bit of IDW, at least last time, because when it comes to IDW, obviously a lot of the plot stuff, the writing stuff, and the writing choices with the world building and such with IDW is questionable to say the least. I can't remember if I mentioned this, that just tone-wise... Actually, I did think I mentioned about the Zombot out, the Metal Virus Saga, and all this, and a lot of the stuff in IDW not being tonally appropriate to the Sonic series, but this is one of those things where I can't help but feel that maybe Ian wasn't necessarily the best choice for writer to begin with. Tonally it was... Yeah, exactly. Just tonally bizarre. Like, it makes... I get that it makes sense in the context of Archie, because I know that the Metal Sonic plotline... Nice. The Metal Sonic plotline in IDW was basically a holdover from pre-reboot Archie. I mean, post-reboot Archie. Again, you can see me getting confuzzled about a lot of this stuff. I'm old. And as far as I'm aware, the Metal Virus Saga was also a holdover from Archie, which would make a lot more sense, because with the world building in Archie, with all the stuff that goes on in Archie Sonic, like you got regicide, murder, genocide, murder, Charmy getting brain damage, more murder, and then drug-laced chili dogs, and more murder. The Zombot outbreak makes a lot more sense in the context of that universe, as opposed to, you know, being in the same universe as Baldy Nose Hair. That just doesn't work. I feel it's just going too far at the deep end. Just too far in the opposite direction. いくつかあれば古代人が生活を送るのには十分なエネルギーだったはず。遺跡や電脳空間に動力を供給するには十分。ってことは何らかの理由でエメラルドが使えなくなったことが古代人の消えた理由なのか? All this stuff sounds interesting, and I sure can't wait for the revelation to be completely underwhelming and kind of sucky. There we go. Got our damn fourth Chaos Emerald. They've been writers who write some of the spin-offs are actually good with the way they handle the plot, like Scrap and Kylo with light novels. It makes you want fresh faces of the main staff rather than the writer from last time. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Just generally speaking, I would definitely like to see a fair bit of new blood in this development team. I mean, that probably will be the case with the new game, just... I've been saying for a long time, I've been wanting new ideas, new zones, new concepts. Also, I'm fairly certain there was a cutscene where in the dub, Robotnik says, "I hate that hedgehog." Because remember, you remember that from you remember that from the 90s cartoon, which only old head like me would remember and have actually watched? Like Sonic Christmas Blast, which was a complete travesty. You remember that, right? I think I may have to cheat a little bit here. Yeah, it does. Okay, it doesn't allow diagonals. Okay, I think I know how this. I think I know how to play the song now. There we go. Actually, don't. That's... It's like you've mentioned wanting to watch longs at some point. I think I'm gonna have to put you through a crash course of Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog at some point. Because that is a trip and a half. It's like you thought the world building in Game Sonic was nebulous. You're gonna love this next one. Also, hey, it's gotta go over here. We gotta go and fight this guy. We gotta go fight Sumo. We gotta do the reference to oh. We gotta do the reference to the we gotta do the reference to the movie. We gotta do the movie reference. Yeah, I think it's the case which you have to beat him up first. Spin him around, make it feel... There we go. And then he bounces around like a pinball. Including the ones you think I in a handful of episodes. I wonder what episodes you could possibly be talking about. It's a complete mystery to me. Indeed. Also, why is there just a heart shape in the... You saw that, right? There was just a heart shape in the sand. Maybe I'm just imagining things. Yeah, I think as well the color palette of this particular open zone feels a lot more varied, mostly just because of how evening looks. It's like, oh hey, it's yellow as opposed to more blues. I will say the parry window whenever you do it. Yeah, it's like it looks cool, but then you basically do it and you basically just do it. Oh, he mentioned a time travel. He mentioned Silver actually gets a mention here. Hashtag Silver mention. Yeah, you can basically just hold it indefinitely. Kind of wish it would. Well, yeah, but then we got the perfect parry, and then we realized, oh wait, the game isn't based around having a perfect parry. The game isn't designed around this, oh no. Okay, so I can access this one at the very least. Yes, Silver mention. It's like, for once, and he's only known for being a time traveler. It's like, the fact that he has psychic powers or anything is kind of irrelevant now. Oh boy, I hope you're ready for some more Sky Sanctuary, because, too bad if you're not. At least fairly certain this is supposed to be Sky Sanctuary Modern. Oh, I saw that. You can't hide from me so easily, game. Yeah, just using the spin dash here just feels incredibly perilous. That works. I don't think it was supposed to work, but it did. Oh, wait. I think this might actually be Sky Sanctuary Classic. You know, it's got the spinny things, it's got all the crumbling pillars. I think we might be in for a bit of a rude awakening before this is over. This like has to compensate for the fact that I can't spin dash and go through tight spaces. That's just all of a sudden have access to light speed. Nice. Gotta love it. Oh, it was right there. Okay. Okay, so I guess Spin Dash kind of trivializes that segment. Nice. It is going to be curious how they actually handle the Spin Dash in the next game, though. I am sort of wondering about that. Also, nice. Alright, let's go again. This time I may actually survive until the end. Wouldn't that be something? Yeah, I think this might actually be like halfway through, Sky Sanctuary Classic, because obviously we don't get all the segments with the flying discs from Marble Garden. I can't remember if that was actually in the base level or not. It's like you can definitely tell I'm getting old in that sense. I kind of feel kind of sad about this whole series now, because it generally feels as though my enjoyment of it mainly just stems between just the era of 2001 to 2011. I would include the Mega Drive games in there, but let's face it, I mostly just played them through Mega Collection. Like, all things considered, that run was a pretty decent run. Obviously quite mixed, but there was definitely a fair few positives in there. It ended on a good note. It ended on a good note, I think is a good way of putting it. I feel as though I mentioned this before, but I feel as though with regards to this series, I would be perfectly content if the series had just ended with Generations. It's like, okay, we Sonic sort of come to the end of his tenure. We've lost the console war. He basically doesn't serve a purpose now because the mascot of the series of Sega is now going to be Kiryu Kazoo. We're putting Sonic out to pasture and sending him out with a decent bang with Generations, and I think I'd personally have been fine with that. Disappointed at first, but it's just one of those things where I'm the sort of person who, when it comes to bad content, I would rather just have nothing. It's like I already have a whole bunch of stuff out there to play as is. It just means there's less on my plate. I mean, obviously the fact that in the series had come back from the brink as it did back in the back from the lows that were basically post-Forces, or just basically all the 2010s. The fact this series has basically lasted and has been more culturally relevant for longer than something like Halo is kind of mind-boggling to me. It's like, of all the series to have survived the 2010s and the 2020s without basically just becoming culturally irrelevant, Sonic made it. And not Halo. Well, you know, well, Metal Gear, I mean, Metal Gear, I guess, is sort of coming back with Delta. Not sure what the future's going to hold in terms of that, but it's like, for the longest time, Metal Gear was basically reduced to pachinko machine. Trying to think of other pretty big gaming icons which sort of supplanted. I mean, I think a good comparison is actually with Heroes, honestly. Don't need sludge from this. Yeah, exactly. Don't need sludge from the sludge pipe. I suppose a good comparison being 2004 with all the games that came out then compared to Sonic Heroes, where, you know, you got Halo 2, where Halo is now basically a shadow of its former self. Half-Life basically refuses to come back. Even after, like, 20 years. So, not sure. It's like, as soon as Half-Life 3 is released, then probably the rapture will happen then and there, as far as we're aware. And then Grand Theft Auto, everybody's... I feel that's one of the few ones which, the few big ones which has kind of managed to survive unscathed, though with 6 it's, a bit more trepidatious, because obviously basically the entire gaming industry is riding on it to do well. It's like, if GTA 6 does fail, there is credence to the belief that it will basically cause another video game crash. If it hasn't happened already. And honestly, with the amount of sludge we have been getting, I don't really mind, because it's funny. I remember back in the day being worried about the potential of a video game crash, but now I don't really care. Which I suppose is the worst thing. Alright, I think we've been fooling around. Enough tomfoolery, it's time we go in and speak with Knuckles. I feel as though not a lot has actually happened this particular stream. Just sort of been wandering around the whole of Ares Island, just looking for stuff to do. I'm thinking this may actually continue into the next stream, though. It's like, no, look what's happened. Don't think a full-scale video game crash will likely happen with the downscale. Well, yeah, the downscaling is long overdue, though. Just with how much money gets poured into these games. I mean, I know a lot of people complain about some stuff like Sonic games and Pokemon games basically having no budget. It's sort of like the opposite extreme, where it feels as though either there has to be sort of a rescaling of the budget so it actually has a better budget, but not to the degree of a lot of these AAA titles, or just generally speaking, I feel it should probably be downscaled a little bit. I don't like sand. Yeah, that's something that I can't help but wonder, whether or not it would be better if a lot of these games were more just sort of downscaled, so where they're not as big, but more of them can be put out, and they're actually in a decent condition, and not completely embarrassing buggy messes on launch. You know, sort of to the point where, you know, Pokemon can actually go back to making yearly releases without it being a massive detriment, like with Scarlet and Violet. Like, if Scarlet and Violet was a lot more small scale, then I don't think it would have nearly been as much of an embarrassment. Generally feels like far too much money is going to these cinematic expensive bullet costume staff that is unnecessary. Yeah, exactly. Knuckles, what are you looking at? There it is! Sonic free jump scare! I don't know, Knuckles. It basically looks identical to all the ruins we've seen so far. Suppose it... That is... Yeah, it is. It is kind of embarrassing. Flynn probably signed off on that and thought, yes, this is going to be so profound. People are gonna love the Sonic free jump scare. More Sonic free jump scare. Okay, I'll be sure to keep that in mind, Knuckles. Again, the entire intention of that whole scene is basically different compared to, Oh, I'm dead already. Nice. Wow, he basically just... I literally just bopped on the head lightly and he just went down instantly. I just have to lightly tap on them and they just go. Bonk. Fell down like a Jenga. What is the What is the point? That is a very good question. I think all that's left now is just one more Chaos Emerald. I think, depending on how much more we have to do, we'll probably just finish up with the Wyvern fight. They want to be Chow so badly. That is the most Borg-looking salute I've ever seen. It's literally just putting your hand up to your face. Like, vertically. They're all dead. Must be my lucky day. Once again, we will never get an explanation of that symbol. Ah, Knuckles is actually feeling bad. You can tell because Sonic tried to emote with his eyelids. I think we might be getting into one of the more different scenes compared to the dub. This one has a bit more of a notable change to it. See if you can spot it. That is actually debatable. Also, yeah, I've been flirting with your sister. What sister, Sonic? Ooh, suspenseful, isn't it? So yeah, obviously in the dub, Knuckles is more on board with basically just leaving Angel Island to its own devices and basically going out and trying to make a life for himself, whereas here it's obviously going in a very different direction where he wants to learn more about his the origins of the Master Emerald and what his tribe was like, which honestly I can't help but feel I kind of like the Japanese version of Knuckles' arc here a little bit better. I can't help but feel that it fits more in line with how his arc was an adventure, where it's like, I may not know what my ancestors were up to, but something tells me I'm probably better off not knowing. Now he's actually a bit ready to confront the truth, as it were. Need to look up the original cutscene. Yeah, again, Japanese audio / translation here doesn't necessarily add up to the I think that's another reason why I'm not necessarily as much of a fan of this game. Because in my mind, this series does have a sort of inherent Japanese quality to it. In how, you know, its storytelling, its cultural significance, to a lot of its various symbolism and elements. I can't help but feel that bringing in a Western writer in that respect, in any way, shape, or form, kind of diminishes that. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to be here being a proper, just sort of Japanese sort of purist, because obviously that would be kind of ridiculous in this particular era of Sonic, but it's just another one of those things which I can't help but note, because it isn't impossible for a Western writer to pick up on all of the Japanese influences. Just take a look at what Toby Fox has done with his sort of most notable games. You know, Undertale and the Earthbound Halloween hack. That was the one I was thinking of. So I've been in the island for such a long time, I don't know enough about my own people and what I'm doing when I'm yeah, exactly. It's like we saw as well in the Convergence prologue and in the intro to his story and adventure, he doesn't even know why he was given his job. That, to me, I feel, has a lot more grounds to explore, because I think I've said this multiple times as well. I would definitely like to see some kind of Knuckles standalone adventure, where he can actually tackle these elements in a way which is more befitting of him. Guessing this is Chaos Emerald number 6. We got all of them. Well, except for the one. Sonic Forces music. Ew. Ew. Get that out of here. We gotta go and do a funny crane game. See, I think for future reference, not going to be going out of my way to do any more of those various dialogues to the characters, because I know now that I don't think they have been retranslated. Just need to find my way over there. Well, that, and it also means I get to save time, basically. I guess it takes being a Sonic tourist like me to like Sonic. Well, yes. Unironically, yes. It's like, Forces, as a standalone game, even though it's barely a game at all with all its automation and the fact that it's only like 3 hours long, it's fine in a vacuum, in relative terms. But, you know, if you've played the series for any length of time, you can see where the game goes wrong in so many ways. I wonder what that says. You're still on that, huh? You're still on the Dawn Trail hate grind. Yeah, something changed because we regressed the plot. I don't know how it works either, Knuckles. Providence? What, are we saying the Monado was involved? I'll single-handedly bring back the final days. Yeah, really it feels as though you haven't let that whole thing go, have you? I mean, I do kind of get it was Dawn Trail was disappointing, but at this point I've kind of feel I've sort of reached the apathy stage. It's like, yeah, it was kind of bad, I guess. Honestly, I don't really care that. I think that's a thing that could be said about a lot of them series at this point. I feel as though a lot of my thoughts on them can be best summed up with just apathy. Which obviously isn't something that I necessarily condone, but something that can't necessarily help but feel. Also the fact that the prospect of having to go back to 14 and basically do a whole bunch more busy work is something that's it's just another one of those things where I don't feel I necessarily have time to go back, if that makes sense. Like that cutscene in Hades fight, what about our hopes are to spare? It's like, wow, you really were into... You really did go deep into it, didn't you? I mean, I get it. I get it. In my mind, though, I couldn't help but think, you know what? I'll probably just play something else. It's... Honestly, I feel like Dawn Tread was a little bit of a boon, because in that sense, I, ended up going off and basically playing a lot more of the Final Fantasy games, like Crisis Core. Well, 7 I was doing basically at the same time as Dawn Tread, so I'm not sure that counts. But you know what I mean. I have more of an incentive to go off and play the other games in the series now. Well, here we go. I think my despair would actually make me fall into the age. I don't have another word for that other than the 16 terminology. I don't have any hope at all for 8.0. I'm more just sort of in the wait-and-see camp, to be perfectly honest. It's like, if it turns out to be bad, then I just don't go back to it. If it does turn out to be good, go back to it and try to catch up with everything that I missed. You know, it's just, it's as simple as. If it's good, I play it. If it's not, don't. Honestly, I kind of wish I could bring that sort of mentality to other games in this other game series I enjoy, but I don't know. I guess it just still take it up. It's not that bad, surely, Noivern. Surely it's not that bad. It's like playing Crisis Core so far. It doesn't seem too terrible. No, I haven't got to that point yet. I'm looking forward to, though. I want to see the context. I want to see the context of everything that's going on. I fairly certain I got a fair bit of context of that scene in particular, but more so in how it lines up with the rest of the story. I like how there's just so many different routes you can take in this particular arena, with so many areas that just lead you to rings, which you don't even need. Also, I'm fairly certain this is just the same tower we saw back on Kronos Island. Yeah, it is. You know, it's the same two slightly longer, slightly shorter spires as well. There we go. I will say, though, as well, in terms of boss fights in this game, at least from a spectacle standpoint, I definitely think Wyvern is one of my favorite ones. Slow start and all, but slow parts, I still think Balloon went to the Inferior Sea. Yeah, you definitely seem to have a fair few strong thoughts with regards to Crisis Core. Also, why did you just put a road up in the middle of the sky for me to run along? It seems kind of counterintuitive to wanting to defeat me. Just saying. It's like, it would be a lot easier if I wasn't able to just run in the air alongside you. Also, yeah, once again, still can't spin dash. I think this is another instance where you can sort of this boss fight is another instance where you can sort of tell the game wasn't necessarily designed around the perfect parry introduced in Final Horizon. You fight him on a fruit roll. No, this isn't fighting. This is just running to catch up to his head. The real fight doesn't begin until a little bit later. Oh, he is clipping through the fruit roll-up right now. He is clipping through it. Almost there. And there we go. Like Warframe. Well, here we go again. This time with even more cool music. Yeah, we already know how Supersonic works. Let's roll. Yeah, just from a spectacle standpoint, this fight is awesome. You know, you're just literally fighting while flying around the entire island. It's great. Also, I forgot to mention, that whole segment where you're just running through these rings here. Arguably my favorite part of this whole era. It just feels the most like Sonic Heroes to me. Oh, and I've already hit it. I've already put him down to half health again. Would have been nice if I could do this at level 1. I do quite like this song as well, to be honest. Yeah, and the lyrics kick in, and it's just nice. Like, from a spectacle standpoint, this really feels like a proper highlight to the game. I mean, I guess that's supposed to be the case with all the Titan fights, but this one in particular. Only problem is that when it comes to perfect parrying it, it's a bit more of a nightmare. Oh, quick time events, because we think we're back in 2007. Bye-bye! I kind of want to try and see if I can do the thing where I can fling him into a mountain. Would you be so kind as to do that, Wyvern? Would you please be kind enough to stop flailing around so I can test? Or are you literally just going to be flaying around this whole time? Wyvern! Are you going to do anything aside from just sort of... Oh, there we go. Yep, just still back here once again. I'm still waiting for the chance to throw you into a mountain. I want to do it because it's cool, and I missed it out last time I streamed this. And not that anybody remembers, it's lost to the dark corners of time at this point. And I do definitely kind of regret doing that, to be honest. It's like, I could have just unlisted them all, but no. No. Because I don't know what I'm doing most of the time. Yep, still waiting. Still waiting on you, buddy. You know it's sad when I'm literally just waiting for him to do a particular move. It's like I could end this fight at any point. I'm just toying with you at the moment. May as well just do a little bit of damage. Oh, but too much damage by the looks of it. Ah, well, I guess we'll just have to settle with this. With him just doing Dragon Ascent. Because, yeah, as I'm fairly certain I've already mentioned, does bear a striking resemblance to Mega Rayquaza. Strength of the 1,000 Hedgehogs! Yeah, it's already over. Open up! What a way for that poor thing to go, huh? That's not what it originally said. Oh, is he gonna mention Super Knuckles? I remember that. Close enough. Alright, time to go and lose the Chaos Emeralds again. You know the drill. Looks like Knuckles was literally about to knock the super out of him again. They never did specify as to whether he could do that under normal circumstances. As opposed to just, ambushing. Well, there we go. It's just got a whole bunch of... I'm probably not going to do, go back 100% a lot of these, honestly, because I don't really have a reason to. So yeah, tune in next week when we, do this whole thing over again and arguably the game's low point. That's gonna be fun. It's like if I thought I was struggling for commentary this time, it's going to only get worse, I reckon. And look at that, even Sonic's just like, yeah, this stream kinda sucked, I got a headache from just listening to it. Don't worry though, I'll bring it into it just, as I began, so, tune in next time to when we, go to Chaos Island and just see how that goes. But until then, thank you all for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye for now.